What's going on, people? We're doing an emergency show. As you see, all three of the guys that are in this live celebrating wins today. My team, we made things a little complicated in the first half, but that's why they play two halves of football.
Are we all three celebrating wins or just happy? Like one of us is just happy they got to win.
Well, yeah,
Shit, at this point, maybe two of us. If y'all didn't see the way my game ended,
nah, because at the end of the day, the Commanders were
the way that game that was wild and a little, maybe the refs messed up. But hey, like there's a saying that they say, a win is a win.
Hey,
right? A win is a win, and
especially in the
NFL. You're way too relaxed for a Cowboys fan after a win, man. You need to have a little stress in your life, but.
Right?
I'm Chris LeBron, Off the Ball Pod. You can find me. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan. We had a heart attack win and way closer than expected, but I'm just happy we won. Mo, his Cowboys dominated Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. Feel bad for the Jets, though, because it's over. It's a wrap for them. And then we got Cruz. His Commanders are 2-0. 2-0.
For the first time since 2011.
First time since 2011, they are 2-0. They made it. It was close.
You could be the Browns. Haven't gone 2-0 in 30 years. Like you could be the Browns. So hey, since 2011 isn't that bad.
Sam Howell, 2-0 as a starting quarterback, that's impressive.
3-0.
Can we have the Sam Howell conversation?
Let's do it.
Can we just start there? I'm sorry, Chris. I know you're
conversation.
Can we start?
You're going to say something stupid.
No, Sam Howell is a good quarterback. And he has the potential to be a good NFL quarterback. A lot of people were out on him. There were some people who were out on him and the Commanders are making the mistake by starting Sam Howell. But I feel like it was a win-win. Either Sam Howell absolutely sucks and you're in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, or Sam Howell looks like somebody you can build on for the future. And even if you're mediocre to good, now you can focus on building your team around Sam Howell. He's not a first-round pick. He's not a top 5 pick. He's not getting major money. That's a dream scenario for any team is the win now window is if we have a good quarterback, we got to stack as much talent as possible before we have to pay him. And I think from what I've seen from Sam Howell these past 2 weeks, he's good. I'm not going to say he's great. He's not a top 10 quarterback. I'm not going to go out there, but bro, the man's good, bro, and he does what he needs to do to win, and he's 2-0. He's 3-0 as a starter, but he's 2-0 this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he beat the first win was against the Cardinals, barely. That's fine. We'll let that ride. Okay. But he turns around and beats the Broncos as an underdog. They were underdogs. They weren't expected to beat the Broncos. They turn around. He played well in a win. It's time for me to think maybe Sam Howell's possibly hey, maybe the Commanders, and it's only 2 games into the season, maybe the Commanders found their franchise quarterback. And, we could think different 10 weeks from now. But at the same time, what I've seen from him right now, they got something to build off of playing around Sam Howell.
Well, what was impressive about them? The offense looked good all around. They ran the ball solid. He was throwing it to his weapons and all that. They look crisp against a Broncos defense that's pretty good, right? That's a good Broncos defense.
Yeah, that defense is pretty good.
Because last week against the Cardinals, people were well, yeah, they won, but damn, that offense didn't look great. This week on the road in a hostile environment against a good defense, Sam Howell threw damn near close to. He pretty much threw for 300 yards, a couple touchdowns, and looked good. And I know Cruz, this could possibly, a fifth round pick and all that. This could be a setup for, to build the rest of your squad for the next couple of years if he is the guy, which is an because you don't got to pay him for, and he's making he's pretty much making nothing. So this could be something, and this is a good game for him to build off of and get that confidence going in, to the rest of the season, all that. So if you're a Commanders fan, you should feel really good about how Sam Howell looked this week and possibly for the rest of, the season and maybe beyond. Because now it's kind of like what the Seattle Seahawks did with Russell Wilson, who he played against today. And we could talk about Russ, maybe we'll talk about him Overreaction Monday tomorrow, which make sure you're watching Overreaction Monday tomorrow before Monday Night Football. But, this could be they could build something. So this could be the start of something. You're not paying him nothing. You're paying him peanut. You don't got to pay him for another what?
And he's on the dollar to be 2-0 right now with your starting quarterback and look like you can build around him.
Yeah. So that's
pennies on the dollar. You got to feel
great. How did you feel about the game today? Like I said, Hail Mary, you know, to get the touchdown, but they didn't convert on the 2-point conversion, whether it was a flag or not. They didn't call it, so that's not your problem. You guys won the football game, but how did you feel, you know, coming out of week 2?
I felt like it wasn't. I mean, this is Commanders football on brand. We can't win easy. We can't just win easy games. We were up by 11 with 2 minutes left. And let them kick a field goal. The defense played great, but with Sam Howell, he's making base salary is $361,600 a year. That's how much. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett is making more than him to be his backup. So it's yes, our windows right now. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So we have this year plus 2 more seasons to do something. We have all our major guys locked up. Terry McLaurin. We still need to pay Montez Sweat. I think this is his 5th year. He's on his 5th year option right now. Deron Payne paid. Jonathan Allen paid. Chase Young, we got to see what he does this year. His first game back,
he'll be gone.
Great. He looked great. He might be. He might be just because of the pieces that we have. We don't necessarily need him. And with how unavailable he's been, it might just be better to trade him at the trade deadline, get something in return for him, and go that way. But Sam Howell, on top of Sam Howell throwing for 300 yards, throwing a couple touchdowns, a beautiful touchdown to Terry McLaurin into almost, I think it ended up being triple coverage because he had the corner of the safety and then the other safety came back from underneath, basically in triple coverage to tie the game up initially. Being down 18 in the first half when it looked, I texted my wife, I hate this fucking team. I hate this team. And then halfway through the second half of text, I said, I love this team. This team is what makes me get up for work every day.
I hope we trade Saquon Barkley, and then he's the reason why. It's you know, similar to how you are
for the season. What I'm reading as well, like there's
well, he's not going to play Thursday against San Francisco, so
there's some reports that think like it's either a possible like broken ankle but then there's also been somebody who said like possible torn ACL. So obviously we'll see, but like there is a possibility that Saquon could be done for the season, which would suck for that guy, honestly.
Yeah, because he's a free agent.
And just a simple fact, bro, as dude as good is like injury. I don't like to see great players be injury prone. Like I don't care who they play for. I don't want to see an impacting player who, I mean, this dude was the catalyst of taking the Giants to the playoffs last year because he played a full healthy season for the most part last year. Was the leader on their offense. And then, like, if you're telling me this guy is going to turn around and be out for the rest of the season, I hate that for anybody. Like, an immense talented guy could be out for the season. That sucks. You could play for the Eagles, the Commanders, the Giants. I don't care. Like, I don't hate you enough to be like, yeah, I want to see. I don't wish injury upon anybody. If you're telling me Saquon Barkley might be out for the season again and impending free agency, that sucks even worse. It's like you're playing on a franchise tag. This sucks even worse.
That means he's just never going to get the bag.
Yeah, he'll probably be playing like 2-bit deals for pretty much
2-year deals.
He's already 26, right? I think he's 26.
Yeah, so he's got 4 years left, maybe. Maybe. I say he has more years left on him than your average running back for the simple fact he's been injured so much. So, like, if he can put together a couple healthy seasons, like, I think he got 3 to 4 years, but him getting hurt again is like, bro, that might just be, he might just go down as the what if. Like, bro, what if Saquon Barkley was healthy? How good could that guy have been in his NFL career? And because we've seen flashes of how good he is when he is healthy, he won't turn into the biggest what if. But he'll be in that, like, bro, when you think about it 10, 15 years from now, you look back, you'd be like, bro.
It'd be like Fred Taylor.
Fred Taylor.
Like Fred Taylor. If Fred Taylor was healthy for a lot of his career, he's a Hall of Famer. So I feel like
borderline that now. Like he has a possibility of being that now, and there's people pitching for him. Obviously, you know, since he's done his podcast, it's been like a bigger deal. But at the same time, you know, it's well, Chris. Let's talk about Joe Giants. Let's talk about Joe Giants. We didn't praise Sam Howell and the Commanders. They got the dub. They 2-0. Like, hey, they look good. They're making me look good. I said they're a borderline playoff team. They're just for
the Cardinals are better than I thought.
For conversation's sake, on See You Sunday, the Commanders will rise in my personal power rankings. I would expect them to rise in the power ranking in the OTBN power rankings, but when Rob shows that screen and he see where Mo have them, they'll rise. They were 19 last week from me, just to put that out there. So wherever I have them, you know, they've made a rise and they're not just going to jump one spot. I'm not putting a 2-0 team up to 18. I think
they're a good win. This was a good win. This is a really, even though the Broncos maybe not a good team, but to go on the road against Sean Payton and Russell Wilson and play against a good defense, but a 5th round quarterback as your starting quarterback, that's a good win.
And if I can, just real quick, and I know I already said this to you guys, but just for the people watching and listening, it's an even bigger win because we're not a team that was looked at this year as going to really make much noise, and we might still not make any noise in the league this year. But just the fact that we're 2-0 with essentially a rookie quarterback, it's the second year, third start, first on the road, a brand new offensive coordinator that the entire offense has to learn the system. It's a huge win. It looks good right now. Obviously, that's why we play the other 15 games, but we'll see.
Being 2-0 is absolutely amazing. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you played. You're 2-0 in the NFL after week 2. You got to feel great at the end of the day. But the Giants, though,
is a win with the Giants.
And that's what a Giants fan who's sitting here 1-1, barely beating the Arizona Cardinals after having to come back down freaking 21.
Being 1-1 is better than being 0-2. So guess what?
It is. But
I'll take it.
Well, we'll end up talking about the 0-2.
We started off. We gave teams a 60 spot. We went 0. We gave up 60 points before we scored our first point.
Yeah, which is absolutely.
Which is the most that's happened since like the 1930s or whatever for the Giants. Like we've never
when black guys couldn't play football.
So like think about how far ago that was. That's happened. Like it's crazy that the first half was a disaster. Like I don't know if you guys watched the game, but that first half, whatever the score, if you didn't watch it, you saw the score. It was worse than what it felt like. We were down 30-0. It was that bad the first half. It looked like
it was anybody other than
the Cardinals. The Cowboys again. Like
you're probably down 30-0. Yeah, if it was anybody,
if we're playing a better team, we're down more. Like if we're playing the 49ers, we probably get smoked. But that's why the Cardinals are a bad team because they find ways to lose games, right? So you got to take advantage of that. And we figured a way in the second half. We regrouped. The offensive line played well, and we protected Daniel Jones enough to he made a lot of plays, and you see what he can do when he has protection and all that. He makes plays and all that. So like whatever we saw in week 1 against Dallas, it was the opposite the second half of this game. And he made a lot of plays, a lot of big time plays and all that. And the defense is still is garbage. Like we got no pressure to the quarterback. So it was I take it. It's not how I wanted it to be, but wins are hard to get at this point. I'm just happy we won the game, and we're probably gonna get smoked by the 49ers Thursday night, especially if Saquon's out. He probably is out, but it's better than the chance of being 0-3. So take it out as it is, and Daniel Jones looked solid, and Saquon made some plays, and Slayton made some plays, and Hyatt. We saw some deep, couple deep balls to Jalen Hyatt. He looks like once he gets acclimated in the system and gets comfortable, looks like he could be. I feel like he's going to do some things down the stretch of the season. So some good things. Obviously, first half disaster, but I take it. win's a win.
Like you said, it's not college football. You're not rated. Yeah. You're not ranked based on your wins. Based on the quality of win and how you won. All you got to do is win, and that is the better thing about the NFL. Is hey, if I'm 1-1, I'm 1-1, just like the rest of the teams that are 1-1. And I'm better than 0-2. It doesn't matter. You can come out with all your power rankings that you want to and whatever. Those power rankings don't put you in the playoffs. So sitting there at 1-1, I feel like as much trash as I was talking in the group chat, like it's better to be 1-1 than 0-2.
4 week for the division.
Yeah, it's better to thump your chest, sitting at 1-1 and beating the Cardinals as opposed to having to figure out what's wrong with the Giants after losing to the Cardinals. I think that's what the Cardinals are going to be, though, is I think they're going to play.
They're going to be tough.
Teams with aspirations a lot more closer than you think. And I think also that's because I think a lot of guys for the Cardinals are more on tryout basis for other teams as opposed to playing for the Cardinals. I think a lot of guys want to get traded. I think a lot of guys could find themselves out of Arizona. I think a lot of guys, I don't know their contract situation and who's on what contract for how long. But I think it seems to me like the Cardinals are more playing for the rest of to be looked at by the rest of the NFL as opposed to playing for the team name across their chest.
What do you think obviously it looks like they're trying to, tank, but
it doesn't seem like they're trying to tank though, because they tried to win these past 2 games. We just know
they're a bad team.
The players never tank.
The players, the organization,
because you can tell they're bad enough. Like they tried to win these past 2 games.
So what do they do with Kyler then?
Better than the Commanders or the Giants.
Do they just not play? Is Kyler just not going to play this year? And then
absolutely.
The Cardinals, he doesn't.
Because remember, this regime didn't draft Kyler. That was the last.
Yeah, you're starting where you want to.
No investment in Kyler.
Kyler's hurt, and you're 0-2. You're exactly where you want to be.
And especially if you get number 1 and you got that boy at USC, like you're sorry, Kyler.
They're not getting him. Gone. I could tell you they're not getting Caleb Williams.
They get the number 1 pick?
Yeah, I fully believe Caleb Williams.
I don't believe that crap.
I fully believe he'll do what Eli.
Go back to school.
I fully believe he doesn't have to go back to school.
Eli.
But if he plays, see the difference is now like what Eli did. What Eli did back then was like unprecedented, but we've seen it.
It really was.
Eli. But when you see what C-Dub can do,
Elway did it actually.
He can literally C-Dub can literally sit there. We only seen it generationally. Like we saw Elway, and then we had to wait 25 years until Eli, and then you're talking about waiting another 20 years to possibly see C-Dub do it. Like this generational thing. C-Dub can threaten going back to USC to just state the fact I will go anywhere but Arizona, and Arizona could trade out of the number 1 pick.
Well, all right, so let me ask you guys.
Number 1 pick.
And we won't have to stay much longer because I know we got Sunday football, but I just want to get your guys on this since we're talking about the Cardinals, and then we could talk about the Eagles quick, and then wrap up. But since we're on that topic, if you're advising him, and the Cardinals are the number 1, would you be like, dude, go back to school, or would we be like, yo,
yes,
you stay in the draft? We're just going to have to force our way out of – we're going to have to see – because, listen, there's going to be teams that are going to trade up, just like what happened in 2004 with Eli. Like, the Giants wanted Eli. They were just – and they could figure it out. And if he doesn't want to go there, I would still advise him, hey, stay in the draft, because if you go back to USC, that I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't advise someone to go back.
There's no guarantee the Cardinals
are hurt his stock. He's just going to waste time being in college. Like, he doesn't need that. Like, just go to the pros, and we'll figure out how to go to the team that you want to go to. Like, I feel
it changes when they're getting paid. It changes now that they get paid. It changes
when he's gonna get paid, and he's gonna get a bit crazy endorsements. And listen, I know he's making nice money in USC, but that's still going back to college. You still got to go.
I could sit out a year. I could just not play at all. I could just not go to college and not play and just sit out a year, and I'll still be the number 1 pick the next year. People are itching their balls.
You're just wasting a year though. Like
you are.
I don't know.
That's also a year that your body is not taking the hits. Look at Jamar Chase. That's obviously
but there's no guarantee that the next year you're going to have a better situation. Go to a better. It could be worse.
There's never a guarantee when you're as great.
Why not just try to force your way to go to? All right. So who? Let's say. All right. Who's a bad team? Who's the team?
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
Okay. I think C-Dub
would rather be with the Raiders than
sexy.
And you have and you got what's his face over there at wide receiver, Devontae.
Yeah, 100%.
I would be in Vegas to be in that stadium. Yeah, so force your way.
I wouldn't care if you didn't have Devontae. I'd rather be in Vegas than Arizona. Period.
Yeah, so why not make that? Why wait the year and not know what Vegas? What if Vegas is bad enough and they take Drake May or they take whoever? Now that's one less. Now that team that you thought you maybe could force your way, too. Now that's out of the picture now because
But I
they
don't
took Drake May. Why not just try to force it now so you could be there and you don't have to worry about now because the next year it may not be the same. You might have
because
less
the
options.
NFL is
So why
not
not
the
do that?
NBA. The NFL is not the NBA. Eli Manning didn't flat out say he wanted to go to the Giants. All he stated was, I don't want to play for the Chargers. Like, that was pretty much all he stated. He didn't really name a team. He just was like, I don't want to play for the Chargers. So if you're like, I don't want to play for the Cardinals,
the same thing, because guess what? Teams are going to be like, okay.
Yeah, but how many teams? The question is for C-Dub is how many of the bad teams do you not want to play for? Is really the question of whether he returns to college.
It just seems like
if it's only the Cardinals, then it'd be like, look, I'm entering the draft, but I could tell you, like, I'm entering the draft because the thing is with NIL and all that and signing agents and all that, you can enter the draft, get drafted, and be like, man, I'm not playing for them. I'm going back to college. So he does hold that leverage. So if I'm C-Dub, what I'm sitting there thinking is, I'll get drafted, and if I don't, if the Cardinals don't trade out of that pick and they take me, I don't want to play. I'm not saying he'll do that. I just think it's a possibility. Well, once you get drafted, I don't think, but you could pull your name out last minute.
No, not like this isn't the NBA. I think once you declare for the draft, you're
right.
Once you get past the deadline, that's it. If once the deadline for the because you like I don't know how I know in the NBA you could declare and then there's a deadline, and if you pass that deadline, that's it. You're in or you're out. And I'm sure the NFL has the same.
NIL hasn't changed that. Like NIL hasn't changed the fact of pulling out last minute.
Oh yeah, I'll break a little bit. I'm pretty sure. I've also somebody told me today that they fully don't expect Shedeur to declare after this year. They expect him to stay in school.
I can see that.
I couldn't right now.
Well, I mean, yes, right now, week 3. But if this team ends up being what Walker thinks it is,
3 meaningful games in his college career.
But the way he's playing, the way I don't think, but we say
Kiper has him in his first round pick already. Like, come on.
That's what I'm saying. Like Mel Kiper has him as a top, and I'm not saying Mel Kiper is tell all be all, and if he has him in his top 5, he's going. But he has him as a top 5 draft prospect. Period. So it'd be tough to see, like you're gonna find out how good he is over the next couple of weeks as well. So. That could change.
There's a weird expectation that he wants to go in with Travis. Like they want to go in together. They want to leave at the same time. Get drafted at the same time
next year.
All that
what do they think?
And plus, there's less quarterbacks, so there's more likely for him to go maybe number 1.
Because Travis and Shedeur will both go in the top 10. They're not going to get drafted to the same team. I think
that's what I'm saying. So why does it matter whether we go together? I mean, I think that's
I don't know.
They're not going.
I think they just want to play 2 years of P5 ball together for Dion, and then
that would make sense. Like, hey, we want to play together. See what
I think there's also I think they also understand that they're not going to win anything important this year. And that they might want to hang around for another offseason where he can get another class of players and maybe they can be really competitive next year.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Monsters next year. They could be monsters next year.
Possible. You hit the transfer portal, right?
Walker, we were talking about, obviously, we were talking about going through our teams and how we did this week, but we were talking about Caleb and his situation and the Cardinals. And Mo said that he would, if he was Caleb, he would, if the Cardinals had number 1, he'd go back to school. And I'm on the other hand, I'm like, even if you don't want to go to Cardinals, you go to the draft because you're going to be the number 1 pick regardless, and you force your way out. If you want to do the Eli or the John Elway thing, what would you do if you had to advise Caleb Williams? Cardinals had the number 1 pick. What are you telling him to do?
I think in a weird way, and this is just through 2 weeks, but in a weird way, why is the Cardinals why are they such an undesirable spot? Like, I know the roster's not great. The roster's not great, but if they take Caleb, there's probably an understanding that they're also getting rid of Kyler. And if that's the case, it's like, man, like they're going to open up a bunch of money doing that. They can fix this thing to an extent. I understand that Arizona's bad. I just don't know that they're so bad that you're like, okay, I'm refusing to play for them. It's a huge market. It's a huge market with a ton of opportunity off the field. And if you're as good as you think you are, you'll go in there, they'll get players around you, and you'll have a real chance to win. Like, I don't know. What are you hoping for though? Like, who are you hoping to play for?
It's not just that the team is bad; it's that the front office and the organization as a whole seems very inept to run it properly. Because you look at what they did with I can't remember the dude they hired, but they like openly admitted that he was like their fourth option. Or Steve Wilkes hired him,
He is one and done, right?
gave him nothing, absolutely nothing to work with. He did 1 year, they fired him. Then you go and get Cliff Kingsbury to draft Kyler Murray, who ends up, I mean,
After drafting Josh Rosen top 10.
after Josh
drafting top picks, and you get quarterbacks back.
Go get Kyler Murray, number one, who so far is not panning out. He had the one decent year. After that, he has played like ass, and he's hurt. And then, so you're gonna do it again. You go and get Jonathan Gannon, I think is his name, as a head coach, and are you gonna let him do his 4 years or however long you signed him for? Or
I mean,
if he goes 1-17 this year or 1-16 this year, you're gonna fire him too.
All you can go on is kind of what's there. And like, I think they like Gannon. I mean, I like Gannon. I mean, Gannon's getting the most out of this roster. Like, there's no way that they should have been competitive.
They're playing hard,
but they were.
For sure.
And they're playing super hard. Like, I really think, I think Gannon will get another year, especially since they understand like the roster is what it is. And then I think, I think if they draft Caleb, or Caleb comes in, I mean, I'm sure there will be an understanding. Hey, we're going to put enough around you to where you're going to be successful in year one. You may not win the Super Bowl or win the division, but like, we're going to give you a chance, and then we'll go from there. Like, we'll address it and we'll build just like anybody else does. Like, but like, I'm sure like Trevor Lawrence wasn't attracted by playing for the Jags at that point, but you didn't see him shy out of signing with the Jags. And now look at kind of what happened. Like, Lawrence is who we thought he was. They got the pieces around him and went and spent the money just like Arizona would in theory. And now they're a Super Bowl contender. Like, that's just how it works. Like, it doesn't really matter who picks number one. It's going to be a dog shit team. So why not go to the one that has a huge marketing base? Like, you're staying out on the West Coast. You're playing in a dome where you don't have to worry about all the weather and like playing on the lake in Chicago or whatever and playing in like the freezing cold. Like, it could be so much worse. Like, you could be in such a worse situation. Like, it could be so much worse than what we're talking about. And like, it's not like you have nobody there. It's like Zach Ertz can still play. Like Hollywood Brown is fine. And I'm sure that they would go and help you and get someone else, like a true alpha, to put on the other side, where now it's like, all right, well, Hollywood's our second guy and Ertz is just still the tight end. Like, and now we've got some dudes. Like, let's go play. I just don't think.
My fault, Walker. Because you said that, like, going to get a guy. I know this sounds crazy and it doesn't sound realistic, and whatever I say could be shut down tomorrow based on a contract extension. But is there a world where, like, okay, Justin Jefferson doesn't get signed to the Vikings, for a contract extension? He gets franchise tag, and then now you're sitting here talking about we trade Kyler Murray. Here's the real
Hopkins. They got Hopkins a few years back.
Trade Kyler Murray to Minnesota because Kirk Cousins is a free agent, so they're going to be looking for a quarterback. Maybe they're bad enough to draft a quarterback and we have a different conversation, but where we're sitting at right now, I understand the Vikings are 0-2, but maybe you use Kyler Murray in a way to lure Justin Jefferson, and you're like, you know what? We got plenty of cap space once we get rid of Kyler Murray to Minnesota. Maybe that's attractive Minnesota, and now we got Justin Jefferson, and we're able to draft Caleb Williams. Almost like not straight up like Kyler for Justin Jefferson, but it'd be as close to straight up as you could get for NFL. It'd be, somebody gets a higher draft, get a lower draft pick.
They're going to want to repeat. No, they're going to want to repeat of the Diggs trade if they trade Jefferson. They're going to just want they're going to want that first round pick from a contender where they can go in and just draft the next Justin Jefferson.
But if you believe that, like, if you're a guy who's getting rid of your quarterback and you think like you would love to have Kyler Murray, like, the conversation changes. Like, we're talking about Diggs in the back end first.
I know, but I don't think. But if Kirk walks, I don't think that that's what they're thinking. I think they're thinking, all right, listen.
Probably not. I was just saying if they do.
No, they're thinking like we're going to be bad. I think they're thinking at that point they're like, we're going to be bad, so we're going to trade Jefferson off, get extra draft capital, because then if we get it in this upcoming draft, we can kind of speed. There doesn't necessarily have to be like a quote unquote rebuild. Like, we don't have to tank. Like, we may have to be really bad for one season, but like we'll be bad for one season. We'll have multiple first round draft picks. We'll really reset the young core of this roster, and then we'll go from there. But the Vikings are in a bad spot because they almost have to complete tear down because the defense is really bad.
Really bad.
Really bad. And the defense is really, really bad. The offensive line's not great. Your receiver room after Jefferson's not just awesome, unless you believe in. I mean, Jordan Addison's been fine so far.
Gonna be a good one.
Yeah, and like Madison's awful. He's terrible. He's horrible. And so you're not a very talented roster. Like it's just been a saving grace that you're playing in a division with other teams that are not very good. Which like we're not too overreaction Monday yet, but dude, that division sucks. All of them.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Minnesota. We've got Minnesota, who we just talked about. They lost to the Bucks last week. I think did they lose today? Oh, no, they lost Thursday. They're 0-2. You've got Chicago, like that's enough said. They also lost to the Bucks. They're 0-2. You've got Green Bay, who lost to the almighty Atlanta Falcons today. Rise up, baby. And then you've got Detroit, who
lost today.
They lost today to a pretty bad Seattle team at home, and also just kind of got. Let's just be honest here, like everything had to go a specific type of way for them to win that game in Kansas City. Like if Kansas City plays like just halfway catches the football competently, they're 0-2 as well. So, there's a lot there, man. That division's awful, which I mean, almost makes you want to tear down. Like, cause you're like, okay, hey, if we tear down and rebuild this thing real quick, like division's there for the taking. Like, let's go find the guy, and then let's go find the guy, and then let's beat everyone else to the punch. I saw too, one of the Broncos beat guys that kind of covers the league as a whole, Benjamin Albright, was saying that he doesn't expect, and this one's interesting, he doesn't expect Justin Fields or Jordan Love to quarterback their current teams next season.
I could see that.
I could see that both.
So the Love thing is interesting, man, because, and I've been screaming it, he's literally just screen boy, check down boy. Like even today, like he had a touchdown pass, but it was one of those like pop passes to Jaden Reed where everybody was like, "Oh, look, Jordan Love threw a touchdown." It's like, but watch what it was. Like, it's not quarterback play. Like that's a jet sweep.
They don't trust him. They
don't
trust him.
And listen, I felt bad too, man. Like Jonathan Vilma was, they got the ball back with like a minute left and no timeout. So, oh, this is where Rodgers was so good, and it was just like, man, you're gonna trot that guy out there and compare him to Rodgers with a minute left and no timeouts and expect him to win you a game. And then Jordan Love sailed like 4 straight incompletions and the game was over.
Oh, yeah, the end of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful. And he had a dude wide open around midfield.
Too. I don't know why. I just want, but I'm like, that last drive, I was like,
yeah. I just think that very much systematically, like, I think they're very much telling him to don't audible, like, run what we tell you to run, take the easy completion and let's just get 5 yards at a time, and then we'll trust our running backs and stuff. But I think you saw today, if Aaron Jones isn't healthy, which that's an annual occurrence at this point. Yeah. If he's not healthy, that offense is not very good. Like, if you really went in today, like that game finished 25-24, but if you actually dig into the box score, it was not particularly close. Like that game was not all that close. It was really just a weird game in terms of how it played out. Like Love was 14 of 25 for 151 today. That's not good. They got outgained by over 200 yards. They got outgained 446 to 224. I mean, they won the turnover battle and they still lost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like it was bad. Like, I mean, Atlanta was like a far superior football team today. Like you watched it and you could see it and you were like, how is this game tied? Or how is Green Bay up 2 scores? This doesn't make sense. And then Atlanta came back and won, and it was like, okay, well, that was the result that should have happened. Like, I've watched them march up and down the field, and I kept watching, like, everybody was pissing all over Desmond Ridder on the timeline, and I was like, okay, he hasn't been great, but are you watching the other guy? The other guy is worse.
Great quarterback performances.
No, the other guy is worse. Like, at least, like, Ridder had a couple, like, bombs to either Mac Hollins, and then he had another one to Drake London. Yeah, like, he showed some flashes. He showed some flashes for a second-year quarterback where it was like, but are you watching the other guy where if it's not like a check down to the running back or a long pass interference penalty, they can't move the ball? And they haven't played world beater defenses. They played the Bears and the Falcons. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's been people too that are like, oh, well, that's the best team in the division. I was like, oh man, if that's the best team in the division, that
If
is a
that's the best
bad
team in the division, man, we might see what 7-10 win the
I
division.
think no, and I was about to say, I think we were all right in terms of picking against the Lions in terms of who was going to win that division. But like, man, I think it was more because we thought some of these younger teams were going to take a step. Like, I know some people that thought it was Green Bay, some people that thought it was Chicago, and
the Bears ain't
right,
it, that's
and
for sure.
I know, and so, I mean, but dude, like, it's no good. It's no good. It's
No.
but on the flip side, the NFC South doesn't suck. It's not awful.
No, it's not. It's not as bad as
Falcons
we
2
thought it
and
would
0.
be.
Falcons 2-0, Bucks
Bucks
2-0.
2-0.
Now granted, that doesn't make them good, but I mean, I think the Falcons are okay. I think the Bucks will come back down to earth, but I think they're at least competent. They may scare the Eagles a little bit next week. And then like New Orleans will have a chance to go 2-0 tomorrow night against Carolina. And Carolina's got the number 1 overall pick playing quarterback. Like, I mean, it's kind of okay. Like, that division's not awful.
No, it's definitely.
Who would you pick? Who would you pick to win it? Who would you pick to win that division right now?
Saints still.
Saints.
I'm still going with the Saints. I'm sticking to my guns.
I would say the Falcons. I'd give it to the Falcons.
I'm going with the Saints because I picked them before the season.
I bet Atlanta plus 215 to win the division preseason, so I'll stick with that.
Fuck your bet.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that 9 or 10 probably wins the division though. Like 9 and 8, 10 and 7. I think that still probably wins the division.
Probably, I agree.
I think Carolina's going to beat New Orleans tomorrow, and we'll have Atlanta and Tampa tied atop the division at 2-0 going into week 3. Atlanta goes to Detroit next week, and Tampa hosts Philadelphia.
Which would be not what something people call. Like
This
people
was
did
just
not.
this was an interesting week in the league. It was just a very interesting.
We're getting to the point where we are getting to the point in the NFL where you have to start accepting what your eyes tell you. It's no longer too early. Like week 3 is kind of like, okay, like, so like, let's use the Chargers, for example. If you're an 0-2 team, it's time to giddy up and go. Like it's no longer too early. Like you're 0-2 and you're on the brink of being like too far out to get back in it, especially if you're in the AFC.
In the AFC West.
Well, since we're talking about tell you what your eyes tell you, let's talk about how you might have just witnessed arguably the best team in football play against the New York Jets, huh? Like, since we're telling you what your eyes tell you, I won't say the best team in football. What I will
Save
say
that
is
for overreaction Monday. Save that for overreaction
all
Monday.
I'm saying is the Cowboys. It's not an overreaction. The Cowboys have the best defense in football, and I'm not sure close.
Why are you telling me this? I bet them to win the Super Bowl before the season. I told you this.
Well, yeah, you did that shit last year too. That's why I'm not buying too much into
I know,
what.
I've been a believer. Like I've been a Cowboys believer.
All I'm gonna say is when it comes to the Cowboys through 2 weeks, you may not have witnessed a lot, but what I feel comfortable in saying is that you have witnessed the best defense in football, and I'm not sure it's close.
It's different this year, man.
You might have witnessed the best non-quarterback in football the past 2 weeks. Now, that's a closer argument because there's some guys, but Micah Parsons, shout out to Jeff, who told me we took the best player in the draft when we drafted him, and I was a little upset, and, you know, he'll always throw that in my face. Micah Parsons
got a hell of a start to the season. You got the Giants, the Jets, and the Cardinals to start off the season.
I was just about to say that.
Like, no. Before anybody,
but to be fair,
that
Giants game was on the road, and the Jets had Rodgers. Like that wasn't cake to begin the year. It just happened to break that way.
And what we're not gonna do. This is.
I know what you're gonna say, but we're just saying.
Cowboys fans go overboard, right? Like they go overboard, and you know, you talk to some Cowboys fans, and they probably think we're Super Bowl contenders. I'm not saying that, but what's not fair is we get to play pity pat with everybody else's team, and we weren't supposed to win, and we weren't supposed to do that. But when Dallas goes, not just wins, they win in dominant fashion, back-to-back weeks, and we're gonna take away and say, but they played Daniel Jones. But they played Zach Wilson when everybody else, you got the Chargers sitting over here 0-2. You got the Bengals sitting here over there 0-2. We give everybody else the benefit of the doubt. And we're going to wake up and say, the Bengals and the Chargers, and not y'all, just
The
people
Bengals
will say
in
the
general,
Bengals and
okay.
the Chargers will be fine. They're gonna, they got Joe Burrow. They got
we got to slander the Bengals tomorrow.
when the Cowboys look, I won't say flawless, but they look as good as possible. I still think they're the second best team in the division. I mean, in the conference. I think it's the 49ers, one. I think it's the Cowboys, two. I'm not saying we're the best team in the NFC. I'm not saying we're going to win the NFC. The one thing I will say, I feel very confident and say the Cowboys got the best defense in football. And I almost say it's not remotely close. I think the 49ers had an argument until they gave up, a lot of points against the Rams. And I understand it's a divisional opponent, and we can only talk about. But the only thing we can talk about is what we've seen through 2 weeks. And what we've seen through 2 weeks is that front four or that front seven, however you want to look at it, for the Cowboys is absolutely amazing. That secondary for the Cowboys is absolutely amazing. And I kind of hate how good our defense is, for the simple fact the success of the Cowboys this year will fully fall on Dak's shoulders. And if they don't get it done, and I don't mean get it done by winning a Super Bowl, but whatever the expectation of Dak needs to secure his job, whether it's make an NFC championship or make a Super Bowl, whatever everybody's saying Dak needs to do to secure his job, the way the defense is playing, we're not going to be able to fall. Us Dak truthers are not going to be able to fall on any excuses. I feel like the way our defense is playing, the way our defense is projected to play, and the way they look, this season and the success really rides on how good Dak is. And I hate to say it because I've been a Dak truther, but I feel like at the end of the season, if we're not in the NFC Championship game, if we're not in the Super Bowl, if we're not where you think this defense can take you, then it's fully on Dak, and you start to have different conversations about the Dallas Cowboys' future as far as quarterback. But I think Dak played well today. I think he did what needed to be done. I think we ran the ball. We did everything we needed to do. The Jets defense is damn good, and I think, we kind of minimized them. And all I'm saying is, hey, Dak played better than Josh Allen that we saw a week ago have 4 turnovers. Just throwing that out there for, no reason except the fact that.
Though, Josh. He definitely bounced back.
Yeah, he bounced back against the Raiders. Cool. Let's give him kudos. He bounced
the Raiders are
exactly. He bounced back against. All I'm saying is, I just think when I watch the Cowboys, and I think the expectation was everybody thought this was going to be a top 5 defense. Like, I think everybody, non-Cowboys fans or whatever, was like, hey, on paper, they got a top 5 defense easily. I just think we've kind of upped the ante, and we got one of the best defenses in football. I think we got the best defense in football, and I
think we should add a topic for Overreaction Monday. It is the basura of the week. And I think we all do our basura of the week.
I would just say Jordan Love every week.
I don't even know if it'd be Jordan Love.
Our basura pick of the week.
Shit pick of the week.
But we got Sunday Night Football. I mean, the Patriots just fumbled and all that, but good week. All our teams are victorious, including Walker's,
including the Titans. Hey,
Titans won.
Yeah.
I said,
right?
I said, game to watch was the Chargers.
I know. I know. It was a major rally the troops deal. That's what he always does. They'll get their shit rocked in Cleveland next week.
I'm just saying. I said that was a game to watch because I was very interested in what the Chargers were going to look like having to bounce back, and they kind of looked how I thought they would look on season. I said that was a dangerous game. I said it on See You Sunday when Rob was hosting, for the simple fact I feel like the Titans are playing with house money. If they go 0-2, nobody cares. Chargers, if they go 0-2, we start having conversations in that game.
Tannehill had to.
Tannehill. I was going to say, and Tannehill had a couple balls in that game that were like cannons. Nukes.
That one to Burks.
The one to Burks traveled like 68 yards in the air.
But doesn't that frustrate you, because like
he won't have bad back-to-back games.
Tannehill looks like he could be like a top 5 quarterback, and then like there's last week where he looks like dog shit.
He does just enough to play you out of actually getting a good quarterback in the draft.
Yeah,
he does just enough to keep his job. Yeah,
that's basically what he
from getting Caleb Williams.
The Titans are too good to get Caleb Williams, but and they're not bad enough to get.
But Caleb. I will say this though, they'll be bad enough to pick like 11 or 12 like they did last year, and in this draft, that's getting you a quarterback. I mean, that's going to be good.
Yeah, but are you going quarterback 3 years in a row? Like, are you going Malik Willis?
Do you really count second round and third round quarterbacks as quote unquote the guy? If you take one this year,
don't take a quarterback in the second round. Then
always take a quarterback every single year. Because you just never know what you're going to end up with. In worst case, he ends up being a rookie.
I feel bad for the quarterback. I feel bad for
Malik Willis and Will Levis.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
That sucks though.
Like, they might turn around and get cut or ride the bench for Michael Penix. Is like essentially what's the possibility?
Yeah,
is like
get better at football. Like, not my problem. It's a winning business. Get better at football. It's a winning business. We're not here to coddle your nut sacks and all that stuff and stroke you down the back and tell you that it's all gonna be all right. Get better. Either play or don't play. But you're not gonna I mean, you're not gonna. We're not gonna sit here and coddle your feelings, your poor little feelings, because we wanted to win the Super Bowl. Like, too bad.
Be a quarterback.
Yeah, who knows? Nobody's talking about him, but yeah, I'll go ahead and lock in my upset. The Falcons are beating the Lions in Detroit next week, 3-0, baby.
Oh, I like that. All right,
Falcons train.
Well. That's gonna cap it off.
And the Saints will beat the Packers as well.
That's not really an upset though. That was all.
It is in Vegas.
It up already?
Well, it's in Lambeau. I can technically use it as an upset since it's a 2-point line. I haven't decided yet. No, actually, Rob, go ahead and put me down.
Tomorrow.
Rob, go ahead and put me down. The Falcons are winning. That's my upset. I'll get the lock back later this week.
Write them down and walk it back on See You Sunday.
Right. What do you mean walk it back? I don't walk anything back.
I'm just saying you can't, because now Rob's about to write it down, so he's just gonna announce it.
If I wasn't gonna stick with it, then I wouldn't have said it. Who was my lock this week, Rob? If you don't have it, don't worry.
I got it right here.
Oh wow, what a great pick! Who's my upset?
The Panthers.
Oh, that's tomorrow night. Okay, cool. So they play the Saints tomorrow night.
Oh, Saints.
Well, me and Rob
actually.
Who cares?
Oh, there's 2 Monday night games tomorrow, right?
Me and Rob are 4-0. Who cares? Peasants.
2 games.
I'm 1-3.
Peasants.
I keep picking against the
Prez, your luck was the Bills. Your upset was the Rams. You got that one wrong. You don't lose any points. Ken, his locks was the Pats, which he's about to lose a point for that. His upset.
Well, who's that Rams wide receiver? That rookie?
Oh, Tua Akanua, whatever his name
was. I can tell you where he was at. He played at BYU with Jaron Hall and all those boys. I know. Yeah, I watched way too much BYU football.
He was that light skinned wide receiver, wasn't he? He's like mixed or something.
They had him, and then they had Chase Thomas, who's still there. And Chase Thomas is the one that had the insane touchdown catch to beat Arkansas. So
they
put out dudes.
Pakua Akanua, whatever his name is.
Puka Nakua.
I'm not familiar with his game.
The most catches by a rookie in the first 2 games of their NFL career. It's pretty impressive.
I can't wait to watch all 22 of this Commanders game tomorrow.
That's good.
I'm not watching all 22 of the Cowboys game because it's just going to be watching just going to be watching Dominic.
I tried to do the all 22 thing, and then I had a hard time getting it to work, and so I was just like, whatever, fuck this, I don't care.
Oh, that's that new thing, NFL, the NFL thing, right?
It's that, yeah. It's just watching it from the back, you basically watching it from the back where you can see everything that's going on, which is a super cool feature if you're breaking down like for Rob, and then for someone like Stu, if you want to watch quarterbacks, to me that's a really cool tool. But I'm not breaking down NFL quarterbacks, so I'll trust what my eyes tell me. You're either basura or you're good. Jordan Love basura.
I wouldn't know because my quarterback was not basura tonight. He was elite. So that's
I'll tell you what, Chris. I fell asleep during the second half, so I literally did not see a single point the Giants scored. I went to sleep.
Don't watch the first half because nothing happened. Yeah. The second half, he looked like a really good. He looked better than the guy in Jacksonville. Let's just say, but Thad. Midver. You know how we have conversations about I'm gonna save it for tomorrow. I'll
be on the show tomorrow.
We need to have a conversation about Mr. Wonder Boy down south because
the Titans may win the division.
We want to crown him. So I'm gonna save it for tomorrow though. When Thad's on the show, I want to.
All right. Who's hosting tomorrow? By the way, I don't want to ask this live, but is it me? Am I expected to host tomorrow? I can.
You can host.
Okay, I don't care. I'm
figure that out.
available if need be.
We'll just go Field Stormers and Overreaction Monday back to back. We'll just
That's fine.
time it up.
All right, cool.
All right.
We'll do that.
If we can start it early, I can host, but my daughter has baseball practice at 5:30. So I would have
So
to.
if it oh well,
We'll have
5:30
to-
your time is 5:30 your
What?
time is
7:30 our
7:30 8:30 our time, right?
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, we'll
That's-
have it
yeah,
done
I mean,
before
I can
that
do that. That's fine.
because NFL starts like NFL Monday
Oh,
night
it's a double
football
header.
starts before that. It starts at like 7 Eastern.
I'll be
So
home.
like to have it
I'll
done
be
before
home
that.
4:35.
So
We can
how do
talk
you-
about this off.
You know what? We'll figure that
Yeah,
out once we.
This offline.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and
Yeah.
close it out.
All right, guys. Overreaction Monday tomorrow night. We'll be before the doubleheader for Monday Night Football. All 4 of our teams won today, so we're happy. On that note, be well, be safe, take care, peace out.